everyone, we are back with another round of Turing Dev Talks, and today I'm so excited because today talks is about iOS development, and I will be talking with David Zampier about iOS, okay? And to give you a little bit of context about David has over 6 years of experience, but for the past 4 to 5 years, he's focused on iOS development. So without further ado, hi David, how are you doing and how is your day doing so far?
Hey, Jose, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here today talking to you about the iOS development. So yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you. And let's talk about it.
Nice. So could you please introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your experience with iOS? What kind of project have you been doing?
So yeah, I've worked for a lot of interesting projects like worldwide baggage tracking, like for lost baggages in airports, also for streaming apps and social networks. So yeah, so cool projects, a lot of cool projects.
Nice. All right. So, and the first question that I have to you today is, what is WWDC and what happened there?
Oh yeah, so WWDC is the Worldwide Developer Conference. It's a conference that where Apple shows all the new features for the new iOS version. It happens on June. It's a whole week of talkings, and we can talk with Apple engineers. We can study the new documentations. We have some working sessions, and it's where Apple introduces the new features for us developers. So this year we had the new Apple announced the new navigation API for SwiftUI, so we can build the navigation for our apps in SwiftUI more easily. So we have the new widgets for lock screen. So if you are using the new iOS 16, you probably have seen it, and we can build custom widgets for the lock screen as developers. So also we have the live activities and lock screen as well. And all of these features were introduced by Apple in WWDC this year, and they taught us how to build them for our custom apps.
Nice. And what is live activities on lock screen? What kind of features we have there?
Okay, so live activities, Apple introduced this year. So basically, you can see real-time updates from your app from your lock screen. So like for rideshare apps or you can see the score of a live game in your lock screen. So it's really interesting. And also it will work in the dynamic island introduced by Apple in the new iPhones 14 Pro and 14 Pro Max.
Nice. And so if I have my own API, can I see data in my lock screen from my own API?
Sure, for sure. Yeah, you can do it in your app.
All right, so that is amazing. So could you please tell our audience how your work at Turing has been so far?
Oh, it has been amazing. I've known people from many cultures, from many countries, and this is great because I have opportunity to connect to people from all the world. And I've been working for a company based in California, and they are amazing. They have great engineers there. And I had the opportunity to be there a couple of weeks ago to know the company headquarters and to connect to my teammates. And it was awesome.
Did you travel to US last week also?
Yeah.
All right,
it was amazing.
Yeah, that's so nice. All right, so and talking about iOS, okay. The first question that I have for you is: so I use iOS. I used to develop for iOS long time ago, and I use Objective-C. Okay, and is Objective-C still used nowadays, or they are using only Swift?
Yeah, so for new features and new projects, we're only using Swift and SwiftUI maybe, but because Objective-C has a great interoperability with Swift. So if you have a code written a few years ago, you can it communicates with Swift in a great way. So we're not using Objective-C anymore, just for like old projects, but we're still migrating from Objective-C to Swift because it's way better, in my opinion.
Nice. And yeah. And do you think that it's important for developers to know Objective-C if they want to start in this world, or they must start with Swift and then go on?
I think they can start with Swift nowadays because, as I said, there are like the new projects and the new features that we're currently building, like they are all in Swift, but there are some projects that still uses Objective-C. So maybe at some point they will need to like study a little bit about Objective-C, but for starters, I think it's probably the best way to start with Swift.
Just to understand a little bit, right?
Yeah.
All right. So, could you please explain me, okay, what are the main difference between you create one application for Apple Watch, for Macs, and for Apple TV, and for iOS, and so on, for example?
Yeah, so basically we can use Apple uses Swift for all of its platforms, like iOS, that it's the OS for the iPhones, for WatchOS, for Apple Watch, the TV OS that it is for Apple TV. So basically we can, like for iOS, we can build an app for iOS and it can share the code with the Apple Watch or the iPad or even with the macOS. So we have great things, great ways to like share the code between all the platforms from Apple.
Nice. Really nice. All right. And what could you tell me about Deep Link in iOS? What's Deep Link?
Well, so deep links, there are links that are used to send users like direct to a point of your app or screen or something like that. So Apple introduced us the universal links. That's a new approach to connect your web page to your app under the same link. So if you click to a universal link and your app was set up with this new universal link API, so instead of, if you don't have the app installed on your iPhone, you'll be redirected to your the App Store, so you can download the app and open the app right on the page that you are looking for.
That's nice. So let's suppose I am on Turing website, and then Turing says, download our app. And then when I click in this link, it will check if I have this app installed in my device. If not, it will redirect to Apple Store. In the app page, when I click and download, it will download and open the app. Is that?
Yeah, basically that. It's amazing.
Nice. All right, next question that I have for you. Okay, what is GCD? GCD in iOS in general.
Okay, so GCD stands for Grand Central Dispatch. It's a low-level API that enables users to run concurrent tasks, like occurring simultaneously by managed threadings in the background. So today we have lots of complex apps that needs to run simultaneous tasks. So the GCD, it's an Apple solution to build the concurrency and parallelism into iOS applications. And so you can run multiple tasks in background simultaneously. And this will not affect like the main thread or your main app. So you can still using like your features while other things are currently happening in the background.
All right. Okay, got that. But so how we can achieve concurrence in iOS? So is that the only way to do that, or is there any other possibility?
Okay, so basically we have three ways to achieve the concurrency. So one of them are the dispatch queues. So they are used to manage tasks like in a FIFO order, first in, first out, where they can be executed sequentially or concurrently. This is an easy way to handle asynchronous tasks in your application, you know? So the second way, we can use threads. So we can start a thread and like run a code in this separated thread, and it will run concurrently with the main thread of the app, or your app can have like many threads. And having a thread, especially, it's useful when you need to perform some tests that it will take a long time to run, And we have also the operation queues. The operation queues, they are high-level abstractions. They were built on top of the GCD that we talked before. And it is possible to execute tasks like concurrently, just like the GCD, but in an object-oriented manner.
All right, so then I have two dummy questions for you. Okay, I hope you don't kill me about this question. But yeah, so first question. What happened when you put our app in background? For example, if I am using Turing app and then I just swipe up and then go to the main page, what happened? And what can I do there?
Okay, so basically when you put your app in background, the main thread, it's like suspended, and the background threads can perform some actions that you explicitly say to perform. So you can continue using the user's location for rideshare apps instance. So also you can have like some kind of synchronization with your backend or with your API, but you cannot perform like heavy tasks like that demands a lot of power or energy or processing from your app, from the iOS,
Yeah, and how much time our app can stay in the background?
So it's defined by the iOS. The iOS defines how much time your app can stay alive in background. It depends on your available memory, the processing, the app that is currently in the foreground, like is running active at the time, So it's defined by the iOS.
All right, and my second dummy question for you is, what's the difference between App ID and Bundle ID?
Okay, so the bundle ID is the unique identifier for applications in the whole Apple's ecosystem. So we have the bundle identifier for your iOS app, the bundle identifier for your Watch OS app, for your Apple TV app. So they are for the whole Apple system. They are used to recognize your app and for updates and this kind of stuff. And the app ID, it's a string that uniquely identifies one or more apps from the same development team. So we have development teams for the Apple developer. And this string, the app ID, has two components, the team ID and your bundle ID from your app.
Got you. So if you have one application that runs in my cell phone and another one that runs my Apple Watch, so how can I set up it and to identify they are the same?
Yeah, so we will need to set a different bundle identifier for your iOS targets. We call it target. So we have the iOS target and the WatchOS target. So you can set them separately. Different. They must have differently.
Okay, two different bundle ID. And when it comes to the app ID, two different too?
Yeah, exactly. Because you get the bundle ID and the team ID. The team ID will be the same, but the bundle ID will be different.
All right. So in terms of performance, what techniques we can apply in our app to improve the performance or the user, the managing memory and stuff like that in our application?
Okay, so we can do a lot of things while we are creating a new feature, developing our code. So we can use like multiple threads, like start processing different threads or background threads. So we can do some hard work in the background. Or if you have to do lots of API calls, you can use do them simultaneously using concurrency. Also, you can use lazy properties and a lot of stuff.
Nice. And speaking about lazy property, what's lazy property?
Okay, so the lazy properties are properties whose the initial value isn't computed until the first time they are used. So you just need to include a lazy modifier to your declaration of your property, and this lets this will delay the initialization of this property. So this is a good thing to save your memory or save energy, because if you have a property that needs to do some kind of work, a hard work, or you can reduce this unnecessary work, so it will be computed just when you use it in your code, you call it your function or something like that.
Nice. All right. And when it comes to design pattern, okay, do you think design pattern are important nowadays? If so, what design pattern are they using? And if not, what should they do?
Okay, so I think design patterns are really important for most all the software development, because it allows us to make our code more understandable, and you can add more features in an easy way. And specifically for iOS development, we can use a lot of the design patterns. So when for the UIKit apps, Apple always try to use the MVC, the model view controller. It's where we can have mainly three components, like the view, the controller, and the model. The view is what the user sees. The controller, it's everything that controls this view or get information for it. And the model are your models for your app. And we have the MVVM that's commonly used for the new Swift UI, where we have the model, view model, where the model are the models from your app. The view is what your user sees, and the view model is what connects your view to your model. That's why it's called a view model. But for iOS, we can use lots of other design patterns like singleton, builder, and many others.
Got you. And when it comes to testing, okay, what are the best practice in terms of testing your application? Is TDD, BDD, any of these design pattern or these techniques used, or is there another one that you recommend?
Oh yeah, so TDD is really important to use, I think, in my opinion, because it allows us to plan the features and build the features already with your tests. So basically, we start developing your feature by the tests. So you create your tests, let them fail because you don't have your classes yet. And then you implement your code and you run the tests. And if your test passes, you can improve your code. And this is amazing because we can gain insights into both quality of the implementation, if it work, and the quality of the design, if it's well structured and it's a good code that you've written,
All right. Yeah, I totally agree with you. So TDD is really important. Not only TDD, but as much as you test your application, you will avoid further problems. Believe me. Yeah. For sure. All right. And the next thing that comes to my mind is to talk about completion handler. Okay. What's completion handler?
Well, completion handlers are basically just functions passed as parameters to other functions. So they're using to dealing with the response of asynchronous tasks, since we do not know when it will end. So we use a completion handler to perform an action after your asynchronous code was run. But now we have the new synchronous, the Swift asynchronous API that they introduced the async await keywords, where you can using them, you don't need to use the completion handlers anymore.
Nice. Yeah, it's pretty similar what they are doing with C# and JavaScript as well. So you can use async await. They introduced that in JavaScript. And that's pretty great. All right, and before we go to our next question, I would like to call upon our developers out there. And if you have 3+ years of experience and are confident with your tech stack, go to Turing.com. I'll put the link into the description section below. Okay, go to Turing.com, create your profile there, search for the job that are suitable for your tech stack. And when you find it, you can apply for that. All you need to do is pass in the Turing vetting process. Once you complete the vetting process, you get a job 100% remote, as we did. Okay, if you enjoyed this content, please consider giving a big fat thumbs up for this video and comment down below what kind of talks you would like to have, like to see in the upcoming video. If you are not subscribed, subscribe to our YouTube channel, clicking in the button below. And come back to you, David. What do you understand? Okay, what could you tell us about dynamic dispatch?
Okay, so in simple terms, dynamic dispatch means that the program decides at the runtime which implementation of a particular method or function it needs to invoke. In the case where a subclass overrides a method, or if it's superclass, dynamic dispatch determines whether to invoke the subclass implementation of the method or the parents. It takes a more time, like it makes your code a little bit slower using the dynamic dispatch.
Okay, so previously we talked about async await, right, which were a great addition in iOS development, the iOS world. And so, but async await is for, can I say, for asynchronous operations or asynchronous tasks, right? But if they are starting with iOS from now, okay, from this video, what do you understand about the difference between synchronous and asynchronous tasks in iOS? How can we explain it to our audience?
Okay, so for synchronous tasks, they are performed one at a time. Therefore, other tasks must wait until the previous task is completed before continuing. For asynchronous tasks, they are run simultaneously in the background. So if background tasks are completed, you'll be notified. And asynchronous programming allows us to process multiple requests at the same time. So you can accomplish more tasks in a shorter amount of time, you know?
Okay, let me see if I get that. So synchronous tasks means it will be executing in the main thread, and then it go one by one. Let's suppose you have a table with 10 lines, and then you want to iterate over this table. It will be executing the main thread, and you go for line 1, and then do whatever we need to do, then line 2, then line 3, line 4, and then so on, correct? But asynchronous means that it will be executed in a different thread or the same thread as well, because this is, I'm a bit confused. So different threads, and then I can go for I can read the 10 lines at the same times in 10 different process, and when each process finish, it will send me a message. Is it like that?
Okay, so the synchronous tasks not necessarily will be run in the main thread. I mean, you can start like synchronous tasks in a background thread. Oh. So it is possible. And for the asynchronous tasks, they start at the same time. I mean, like one test don't need to wait to the other test to finish. So all of them start at the same time in different queues, and we can like start for all of them to finish to continue your code. You know, you can get notified when all of them are finished.
Oh, got you. So then I have follow-up questions. So we will be notified when all of them finish processing, or when each one, so if one finish, we'll be notified, and then another one finish will be notified.
You can have both behaviors. It depends on your implementation, but you can get notified when all of them are completed or when a specific one is completed.
Nice. All right. Yeah. You clarify my mind. Thank you. All right. And as that said, that was my last question. And then I just want to ask you if you have anything to add. Okay. Resource that if they are aspiring to be an iOS developer like you and work at Turing, where they can learn, what they could learn about iOS. What's the best place to learn about iOS?
Well, so we have a lot of things on the internet. So, I mean, we have the Apple documentation. We have a lot of great blogs like talking about iOS development. So they are great resources for us to understand and to learn about the iOS development in general. The community is really great, you know.
With this, we come to the end. Thank you, David, for this amazing talk. Okay, that was my pleasure to talk with you today.
Oh, thank you, Jose. It was a pleasure being here today talking to you. Thank you for everything.
Cool. I hope to see you again soon. Okay. And to everybody else, so don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Okay. Hit the button below and give us a big fat thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. And don't forget to follow Turing on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Clubhouse, YouTube. So we are in everywhere. So keep close to Turing. Then I'm pretty much sure that we'll get the job that you deserve. Okay. As that said, that's a wrap. Thank you and hope to see you all again. Take care.